The views expressed are not necessarily those of KSCJ and Powell Broadcasting Company. This program is not intended to replace the advice of doctors or other clinical providers. Consult with your practitioner to ensure the proper course of action for you.
Welcome to When Things Aren't Going Well on AM 1360, FM 94.9 KSCJ. This program is dedicated to your mental health wellness and brought to you by Family Services, a United Way partner agency. Here's your host, Art Silva.
Good morning, Siouxland, and welcome to When Things Aren't Going Well. This show is all about your mental wellness and how you can help yourself navigate the daily highway of life. We hope to educate and motivate you to help improve your mental wellness environment. I'm Art Silva, and our show is brought to you by Family Services, a United Way partner agency serving the Siouxland community. Let me introduce my co-host, Brenda Geisinger, the Chief Operating Officer at Boys and Girls Home and Family Services. Good morning, Brenda.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm great. How are you today?
I'm pretty good. You know, with these dreary, snowy days, it feels good to be out and about.
Yeah, this is when the snow looks the prettiest. You give it a couple of days and it's going to get pretty down, but it is a nice picture out there today. You know, we're dedicating 2023 to families, and we have our own families at Boys and Girls Home. So would you please introduce our guest today?
Absolutely. So today we have with us Brianne Jacobson. She is the program director for our clients that live with us, our inpatient program. She is a registered nurse and has been with the agency for 5 years. I think the beauty with Brianne is she's very talented at what she does and offers so many expertise and skills, but she truly has a passion for the kids we serve. So welcome, Brianne.
Hi.
Good morning, Bree. Welcome to the show, and thank you for all that you do at Boys and Girls Home. So with this, you and Brenda work very closely together in taking care of our children. I don't think they've ever been in better care than we have right now, and they're growing and they're doing well. But this is our family. So this morning, what I'd like to do is have us talk about, quote unquote, our family, and that's the PMIC. That's a Psychiatric Medical Institute for Children, PMIC, and those are our kids. So Brenda, could you tell us a little bit about the PMIC and what its purpose is?
Yeah. So the kids that come to us are really struggling with emotions. And sometimes those emotions are expressed in behaviors. But all of our kids have a mental health diagnosis. And they're just really needing some extra guidance in how to get their footing and kind of get the family wrapped around what we can do to get the kid doing well again. And that family can include the parents, grandparents, siblings, and we just kind of join that process. You know, in the world of social work, quite often is an odd position we find ourselves in if we're on the outside, but we really know this family. We get to know them. We become a part of their journey. And so that's really what these kids and families are about. The kids come to live with us for about 6 to 9 months, and we kind of work through that. Brianne, what would you like to add?
We take these kids, they're usually about 6 to 18, and we just kind of help them work with these emotions that they're trying to deal with. Some of these emotions are really big, and they just need some help regulating some of these emotions. So that's kind of what we're there for, is to help with all that.
I think one of the things you and I might hear out in the public is, oh, are they bad kids or naughty kids? Wait, what are your thoughts about that?
No, we never say there's a bad kid. So like I said, these kids just need a little extra help. Some of them have gone through, some very traumatic events, and they just need help of like reminding them their coping skills, giving them some new skills to work through and how to regulate these emotions.
Well, I'll tell you, it's fun to see the kids there in this environment. They come from all around our community and state, and they need help. And these are not, I've always looked at, these are not throwaway children. These are not conduct disorder children. These are children that are victims that come to us. We get them back on their feet. They stay with us from various lengths of time, depending upon their malady. And I think we do a wonderful job of getting them back on their feet, holding families together. We may have the child, but as Brenda said, it's a whole family.
Yeah, absolutely. We are a short-term program per se. When you look at 6 months, That seems like a long time potentially, but we really have a lot of work to do, and we work together. And we do best when we're working with the families because they're going to go back to their families. That's our goal. And just really work with the parents or those that are involved with the child. We work with adoptive parents, foster parents, kids that are looking for a family. So we just kind of work as a whole.
Well, I think it's real important that we don't see this every day. We walk by families and they look pretty normal for whatever that definition you want to use, but they face a lot of things just trying to get through the day with their child, and it gets to the point where I need some help, and that's where the PMIC comes in. So, Bree, could you tell us what's a normal day like in the PMIC?
So a normal day is the kids wake up, they get ready, they do their hygiene, brush their teeth. I mean, like some of the kids, we're helping them, remind them to shower, brush their teeth. Like sometimes we have to start from square one. They go down to school, they do their schoolwork. We have people in there who help them with their schoolwork. And then lunch, more school, and go back up to the units. And we usually have a fun activity plan for them and a group session, and that's about it.
We also do the individual therapy with the kids. Each child has individual therapy during the week. And then we also have family therapy. So our case managers meet with the child individually, and then they also meet with the family individually. And then once a week, they also see our psychiatrist that works with us. So that's the mental health component in addition to the great activities we do on the unit, going to school also. We've gone to Cone Park, and we're going to be doing that soon. We've gone to movie theaters. We go to the Lewis and Clark Interpretive Center. So it's also giving those kids everyday childhood experiences that they may not have had, or they've had, and there have been some difficulties before coming to us on how to handle those experiences. So we really want to give them everything they can experience and enjoy as children, and how to make life enjoyable again.
Well, I'll tell you, we're coming. I'm Art Silva, and you're listening to When Things Aren't Going Well. And with me today is Brenda Geisinger, my co-host, and our special guest, Brianne Jacobson, who is the program manager of our PMIC program. And we're talking about PMIC, that's the Psychiatric Medical Institute for Children. And this part of our operation is the residential treatment part, where we take care of children. They live with us 365, not all of them, but we go for maybe an average of 6 months with some of our children, average length of stay. But it's 24/7 is what I'm trying to say. And that takes in a lot. And what I particularly saw and admired was how you handled our children and families during the COVID outbreak. Our children did not make that contact going home because of isolation reasons and trying to keep it down. But you did a wonderful job of pulling that together. Anything you want to share with us regarding the COVID experience?
We made it.
You made it. Amen. Yes.
I think it was just really a tough time. I know, everybody heard on the news about the elderly and in the nursing homes. Our children experienced the same thing. They really couldn't have contact outside of our building. So we really had to wrap our arms around those kids and pull together as a team and a staff and just give them some extra attaboys and we love you and taking care of you. And making that experience okay, that we are going to get through this together. These kids have already experienced disruption, and so letting them know that this is just another little blip in their life, but we can get through it together. Anything you want to add?
I mean, that was like a really tough time. The kids not being able to see their families, their loved ones. And I mean, that's basically what we had to do was, show them the extra love and do everything that we could to show them that we're here. It's hard for everybody. So on top of the regular kid things that they already go through, we had to add this on top of it. And, we were all learning together. This was all a brand new thing for everyone. And I think it was just such a, wonderful learning experience, I guess.
Well, it's family. It was how our family dealt with this. And we pretty much got through. I remember towards the end of the COVID first year, we were able to isolate a couple of kids who got sick. But what I'm so proud of in being with this organization is the absolute compassion and care that we have for our children, that you demonstrate every single day in that unit. Like you said, Brianne, there's no kid that we don't love. They may be tough, they may push back, but we've seen so many success stories. We've touched, the community has been touched by trafficking. We've been impacted by that. We see everything that kind of, like you might read in the paper, we deal with it in very, very, very tough situations. But the story is you're able to put these families back together, and these children have the skills to go on. So it's great working at Boys and Girls Home, and what makes it great are the people who work there. Brenda's been doing this for a long time, and Brianne, you're our new up-and-coming leader. So we're really glad to have you. We're coming up on our break, so continue your early morning chill. We'll be right back with more of When Things Aren't Going Well, right here on 1360 AM, 94.9 FM, KSCJ.
Let's face it, that happens to all of us. However, the pandemic has compounded all of our lives and activities. Even the simplest tasks seem harder. Hi, I'm Brenda Geisinger, the Chief Operating Officer at the Boys and Girls Home and Family Services. Family Services is a United Way partner agency serving children and families of our community, and we're here to help. If you'd like to learn more about Family Services, please contact us via email, website, Facebook, or phone Mary Pickens. At Family Services, we change lives.
Welcome back to When Things Aren't Going Well on KSCJ. Here's Art Silva.
Welcome back to When Things Aren't Going Well. I'm Art Silva along with Brenda Geisinger and our guest today, Brianne Jacobson, and we are discussing PMIC. Those are the Psychiatric Medical Institute for Children in Iowa, of which Boys and Girls Home is one of. I think probably the best because I'm biased, but we do a wonderful job with our children. Let me just share some of my experiences that I've around since I've been around the children. I remember one day at lunch, and two children met each other, and they said, "Hey, how are you? How you doing? Whatever." And I thought they were from the same hometown. They were not from the same hometown. They have pretty much been in the cycle of going through the PMICs, the various PMICs in Iowa, and they ended up with us in Boys and Girls Home. And it opened my eyes that these children really need some stability. They really need the boundaries because they keep changing on them, and they're looking for help. And it should be what the system's like and how well we do what we do. I'd have to say if you had to go through any of the other PMICs in the state, and I'm sure they do a great job, but I think we really have that necessary ingredient, that compassion, the heart, with all of our children. So going forward, looking at the new building. Of course, when we build up at Indian Hills, we're going to start on the residential treatment area. These are where our kids are going to live. We'll be starting demolition on that building probably at the end of February. And then we hope to start putting a new roof on and start a new project over there. You know, when we get done, it won't be looking like a shopping plaza anymore. It's going to take up about 2 acres of asphalt and put in grass and berms and playgrounds and an agri-hood. Try to give you all the tools you need, Brianne, to just let these kids flourish and thrive. And when we talk about this, I've been on the good side. Let's flip it. That doesn't always work with parents. When we have the parents working with, et cetera, great. We get great outcomes. But it's not always that way. We have grandparents interceding. We have different members of the family. It's not always a good situation. Brenda, Brianne, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, I think sometimes there are dynamics that are difficult, and the parents just really struggle with being parents, and sometimes they just have to step aside and someone else has to be the parents. We have a situation where a client was taken to an out-of-state place on a vacation with the family, the parents, and it was one of those ugly situations where they abused him physically pretty bad and left him on the street and abandoned him. And thankfully, the grandparents were notified and able to pick him up, and he is receiving care now with us. Working through that trauma and how to work with the grandparents now as being his parents. So there are some situations where someone else has to step in and be the parent for this child. And that's okay. It's how to make this child okay in life and how to function and be healthy and be happy. And that's really what our focus is. And if that means working with the parents, that's awesome. If that means working with grandparents or adoptive parents, but an adult they can attach to and have a happy life again.
I remember a young man a little ways back, and we took him out to an explorer's game. I got to know him a little better. And he loved his grandfather. Mm-hmm. His grandfather was it. And I got the feeling you want to ask why, but I knew why. I knew that the father relationship wasn't good. But thank goodness for grandparents out there. When you say it takes a village to raise a child, it's very true. We see this. I remember things also like how we stepped up on Christmas Eve. When we had a child, we received a child a couple of years ago on Christmas Eve with only what he had on his back. And, I mean, that entry point, Brianne, can you talk about that? Because that's a critical part when the child first comes to the surrounding. What do we do when we bring a child in?
It is, I mean, just looking at these kids when they come here, it is, very hard on them. So what we do is, we talk to them. They get a little gift basket from us. We try to make it as smooth as we can. Show them around, teach them the rules, introduce them to the kids. But, we try to tell them what this is about and just try to smooth into it. It's tough, your first day getting there. It's a big deal. So we just try to, I'm always making jokes. So that's what I do. I try to be funny. So, sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, but.
I've seen our children at Christmas time. I've learned a lot with our kids. And sometimes I go home and I wonder, how do our therapists handle this? How do they debrief each other? Because they deal with very, very difficult situations that I won't go into. But do they debrief each other? Do they talk? It's important that they kind of like get that strength holding hands.
Yeah, I mean, we all communicate really well, and we discuss what's going on. I mean, we have meetings 3 times a week about our kids, what we can do better to help them, how we're feeling about certain situations. But I mean, it's always about the kids. What can we do? This isn't working for this kid. So what can we do to help this kid out? So, I mean, there's all that. I mean, and we're in constant contact. We're constantly talking and just trying to figure out what's best for these kids.
Well, I know it's a great environment. I'm really proud to be associated with not only the staff, but the children that we serve. I don't get involved in the operations like Brenda does. I just know that the compassion is there. And just look at the years of service we have with our veteran people. Brenda, how long have you been doing this?
34 years.
Oh, that's right. And it's kind of like better as you go along.
That's right.
And have you seen a change over those years in society and what's coming in with our kids?
Yes, I would say just because of everything that's happened, social media, the world, just stuff, I think the kids are faced with a lot more struggles and challenges than when I was a child and when I first started in the business. So yeah, our kids are in a tougher spot. PMIC is a level of care just under a hospital level of care. And so when the hospital has a child that's having some emotional distress, they can stay there maybe a couple of days, a week, and then they need another place. And quite often they come to us right from a hospital. And so we're talking about kids that are really, really in a tight, difficult situation emotionally and how to balance it out. Kids that are suicidal, kids that are really, really struggling or have extreme anxiety and how to make that okay again.
Well, Bree, I'll tell you, you've had some success stories. I know along the way, you kind of get attached to a child or you have a special story that really appealed, that really touched your heart, that maybe you want to share with us?
Oh, there's so many. This is a while ago, but there's this girl and she just came from, the most traumatic things happened to her. And it was really amazing to watch her work with, our staff and her therapist, who was just amazing and was able to help her deal with these very traumatic things that have happened to her. And honestly, the things that have happened to her, I think a person would say, wow, how is this girl ever going to make it? And we got her to where she was able, when we got her, she wasn't talking to anyone. She was shaking. I mean, it was pretty extreme. And we got her to where she can go back out into normal life, to regular school, to, live with a foster family and this and that. And I mean, it's just amazing. I mean, she's probably my favorite success story because it's just amazing.
It is a good feeling. And that's why we can absolutely positively say at Boys and Girls Home, we change lives. And the big word there is we. And Brianne, and what you do with your staff, as we said at the beginning of the show, you're a registered nurse. And what a nice combination to have that in our program right now, because that's how you look at it with our kids. How can we get them better? What can we do? And you take that challenge on every day. So my thanks to you and your staff. Keep on, because the kids are benefiting from it. So I really appreciate that. We're coming up on the end of our show right now. And every week we kind of end our show with a little bit of humor. Humor is good for the soul. So here's our joke for today. What do you call two idiots out in a blizzard? Numb and number. Thanks, Brenda. Thanks, Brianne. And also thanks to our listening audience. We'll be back next Saturday morning here on 1360 KSCJ. But before I go and say goodbye for this week, I want to give a shout out to Tony's Pizza. They recently closed their doors after years of providing Italian food made by Italians. Thanks for the memories of Arrivederci Roma. Like I said, when things aren't going well, we're back next Saturday morning at 7 a.m. right here on 1360 AM, 90.9 FM, KSCJ. Your homework this week is to go out and have a good laugh. May the sun shine on you. Peace.
Happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you. Keep smiling until then. Happy trails to you till we meet again.
For more information on the services provided by Boys and Girls Home and Family Services, see them online at boysandgirlshomeiowa.org. Or you can call 712-293-4700 to get more information about family services, residential treatment, the Opportunity School, the Siouxland Family Center, and more. At Boys and Girls Home and Family Services, we change lives.